into math lesson 11.5. Interpret and solve division of a unit fraction by a whole number. I can create a story context for a given equation and use a visual fraction model to represent the quotient. Step it out. Number 1, write a word problem that can be modeled by p equals 1/2 divided by 4. Then use a visual fraction model to solve the problem. Write a word problem that can be modeled by the equation. So for a word problem, we came up with Bob had half of a pie and wanted to split it evenly among himself and 3 friends. How much did each person get? Letter B, represent your word problem with a rectangle. So divide the rectangle to represent the equation. So we divided it in half for how much pie there was. Then we need to divide it into 4, because there are 4 pieces. Once again, we go with the dot as one to cross because we still need those pieces, but of course they were never used because they're not there. So we would use one of those sections for each person. So letter C, explain how you use the rectangle. So we basically did just explain that, right? Okay. Then what fraction of your rectangle represents the quotient? So how many total pieces do we have? 8, right? And we use 1. So 1/8. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a multiplication problem to check it. So 1/2 divided by 4 equals 1/2 times, what's the reciprocal of 4? 1/4, which equals 1/8. So did that work? Okay, so 1/8. So each person got 1/8 piece of pie, right? Check it out. Number 2, write a word problem for the equation t equals 1/3 divided by 2. Then use the visual model to solve and represent the quotient. So letter A, write a word problem that can be modeled by the equation. So our problem or our question is, John and Julie have 1/3 of a pizza. How much could each person get evenly? So draw a visual model to represent the quotient. So we would draw our rectangle. How many pieces do we break our rectangle into? 3 sections. Okay. Then how many sections do we break it going horizontally? 2. But we only use that first section, right? So we only draw a solid line here and then dot out the rest, right? Okay. So technically we're only looking at this one section, right? Okay. But how many total sections do I have? 6. So we're looking at 1/6 of it. Let's check it. So 1/3 divided by 2 equals 1/3 times what?
1/3 times
1/2 equals, so 1/6 of the pizza. Check understanding. Number 1, write and solve a word problem for an equation 1/5 divided by 2 equals b. Represent the quotient using the rectangle. So our question that we came up with was Kat and Ellie have 1/5 of a cake. How much could each person eat? So we used our visual model over here. We broke the rectangle into fifths going vertically, and then broke it into 2 pieces going horizontally. And then we represented that each person would get 1/10 of it. We did a multiplication problem to check. We took 1/5 times 1/2, which got us 1/10. So we said our answer was 1/10 of the cake. Number 2, complete the word problem that is represented by the equation n equals 1/6 divided by 3. And draw a visual model to represent the quotient. Blank, friend, share. So 3 friends, right? You can't have 1/6 of a person. Share 1/6 of a bag of marbles equally. Each friend gets, so our visual model, how many pieces do I break it into vertically?
3.
Does the total always come first in the word problem? No. So what is our total? 1/6 of a bag of marbles. So you have to break it into 6. Okay? And then horizontally, how are we going to break it into? 3. And then dot out the rest, right? Okay, so how many pieces do we have? We have 18, right? And but we're only using 1. So 1/18. On your own, number 3, model with mathematics. Write a word problem for the equation 1/4 divided by 4 equals C. Then write a related multiplication equation to solve. So the word problem we came up with is 4 friends go for a 1/4 mile jog and split the distance evenly. How far does each person run? So we took 1/4 divided by 4, which equals 1/4 times 1/4, which equals 1/16 of a mile. Number 4, use the circle to write and solve a word problem involving a clock. So M equals half divided by 6. Alright, so for half an hour is story time at school. 6 students split the time evenly to read. How long does each student read? So we broke our circle into half, and then the half we broke into 6 size pieces, and then of course we dot out the other side even though we didn't use it, so we know how many total pieces we had for one whole. So we got 12, and then of course we only used one of that, so we said 1/12 of an hour. Now, how much would that actually be in minutes? So 60 divided by 12 is what? 5. So each kid got what? So 4, 5 minutes. Okay, let's do this one real quick. So complete the word problem and represent the equation, then draw a visual model to represent and solve. So Julie cleaned 6 carpets. Okay, so 6 carpets, because otherwise when she went 6 bottles of cleaner, if she did, then they must have been really dirty, right? Okay, using 1 bit of a bottle of cleaner. So we need to figure it out. So we would have our box. How many pieces are we breaking it into? Into 5, right? Okay, and then how many are we breaking it horizontally? 6. Okay, so how many total pieces do we have? And we only want to use 1. So 1/30. Number 6, attend to precision. For the equation 1/8 divided by 2 equals R. Write a word problem. So Nellie and Joe had 1/8 of a bag of bubble gum. They shared the gum evenly. How much did each person get? So visual model, we'll draw a rectangle, break it into 8. And then break it into horizontal. 1 fraction. So just to check it, 1/8 divided by 2 equals 1/8 times 1/2, which equals 1/16 of the bag of something. And then the next page, we'll just go ahead and mark it off. And then do homework.